Hey everybody, my name is Zach, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm pretty excited. I've kind of always wanted to make a YouTube channel, maybe not, but I decided today's the day. I wanted to share with all of you a little journey that I've been going on, which is getting my very first car. I'm 25 years old, have never owned my own car, and kind of decided that enough was enough, if you will. Through COVID pandemic and the usual everything, been pretty excited to get outside, and I wanted to bring you all along on the journey. I'm guessing by the title, you probably all already know why we're here. So today we're going to be talking about the Ford Bronco Sport. So car I'm pretty excited about. I think a lot of people are pretty excited about, and I haven't really seen, take me along the journey of people getting involved in the Ford Bronco Sport world. So I kind of wanted to bring you along with how I got involved. Definitely a biased perspective, someone who's buying the first car and settled on this one. So hope you enjoy what I have to say, and I'm excited to kind of, tell you all about it. Today, got a few things I wanted to show you. So the first, I want to talk about a couple of the other cars that I was considering when I wanted to purchase my first car. The second is I'll show you, a couple cool places where you can get more info about the Ford Bronco Sport. And then lastly, what I'm going to do is kind of walk you through the build process online of the Ford Bronco Sport. And then I'll kind of show you which model I ended up choosing, and then we'll go from there. So my vision for the channel is hopefully to just kind of take you along my journey of, diving into the world of car ownership, whatever that may be. Hopefully you'll see more of me outside of my office and kind of, behind the wheel once that day comes. So spoiler alert, it should be here pretty soon. Excited to get you along for the ride, and I figure we'll jump right in. I think, as with all things, sometimes they begin with a Reddit search. So, we're not exactly on the Ford Bronco subreddit, but I'm sure that many of you who are considering this vehicle have also looked at a couple other vehicles. And for the longest time, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, I really started looking at the Honda Element and the Toyota 4Runner. These vehicles are both really, really cool. I think they're really awesome in terms of the off-road community and on-road. I think I'm probably more of the get myself to the trail than having off-roading be my activity. As you know, since I just told you, this is my very first car. So I haven't done a ton of off-roading, but I've done a lot of adventures that require me getting to the trail. So I thought about the 4Runner a lot. I thought about the Honda Element a lot. And, there's a couple things that really went into my decision that kind of settled me on the Ford Bronco Sport. For the 4Runner, it is a little outdated. I think everyone's really excited for the actual new 4Runner to be coming out. And I considered waiting. I considered, looking at older 4Runners. There's some awesome 4Runners kind of from the early 2000s and a wide variety of generations that really are great vehicles, but it just ended up not being for me. Similarly with the Honda Element, which is now discontinued, but has a great cult following. They have, camper vans for the Honda Element. They have bike racks. They have mods. They have great kind of accessory community that's built out of the Honda Element, but it didn't exactly fit my needs. So I ended up kind of choosing the Bronco Sport. I think it's kind of a cool little blend between the two. If you know a little bit about, one or either car, that might lead you and kind of show you why I kind of like this Bronco Sport. It fits in this weird area I think that people hit on. I also did consider the big Bronco or maybe a Jeep, but for me, since I know I'm going to be one of those people who's heading to the trail as opposed to making the trail their home and off-roading, I think I'm going to be settling on the Bronco Sport. So I have, and I want to show you, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the Bronco Sport, where you can go. So first great spot is the Bronco 6G forum, and you'll actually find a link up here to the Bronco Sport forum. So any Google search about Bronco Sport is probably going to land you on one of these two websites. This Bronco Sport forum is actually pretty great. I think there's some Facebook groups that are also dedicated to Bronco Sport. I'm not a Facebook user, so I don't use them at all, but I kind of would consider making one just to see what people have to say, but I hope that more people kind of continue to use this Bronco Sport forum. I've poured through almost every group of threads, and there's a lot of great people here already answering questions. I hope that I'll be able to contribute to the discussion, and I'm going to plan on making an account here and kind of get started here as well. Another great spot that I really like is Reddit. So naturally, I kind of search this Bronco Sport subreddit for all the different topics that I'm looking for. And it's been a great resource kind of helping me figure out, what I want, what other people's current experiences are. There's been some issues with like recalls that I've read about on this subreddit and kind of had that good resource already. The next is just the Ford Bronco subreddit, as well as /cars. There's also like Ask Car Sales and a few other subreddits that are mentioned on the, sidebar of cars. I kind of forget what they are, but there's a lot of great resources on Reddit as far as kind of like figuring out how things go. But anyway, so I thought next thing that we would do would be jump into the configurator, and I'll show you what I ended up building for my Bronco Sport. So, kind of a couple things. If you look and kind of compare the different models that are here, there's a lot of like overlap and crossover between the base, Big Bend, Outer Banks, and the Badlands. First edition really isn't available, but just think of it as like Outer Banks plus Badlands. So for the lucky few who are able to snag one already, hats off to you. I could not make a decision that fast. So there's actually a weird feature of the Badlands that I really wanted, which is rubberized flooring. That comes standard on Badlands, and you're unable to get it on any of the other vehicles. So base, Big Bend, Outer Banks don't actually have this rubberized flooring. And the rubberized flooring is just, for me, I want a car that I can just drive into the ground and hose out and not worry about getting dirt and everything in. So weirdly enough, the rubberized flooring is like one of the biggest deals for me when I was doing all this research. There's a lot of other cool features that do come with the Badlands, and I think I also did the math on how many miles I would drive per year as well as the engine size, and I thought upgrading to the 2.0 liter that's in the Badlands as opposed to the 1.5 liter that's in the base, Big Bend, or Outer Banks was going to be right for me. Probably if you stumbled across my video, you've seen hundreds of other videos talking about all the other different models, so I won't get into it too much, but ultimately I settled on the Badlands because of those two critical features. So I think the big engine is going to be great. As far as gas mileage, I've only seen like great reports on it, and I'm pretty pumped about that as well. So what I'll do now is I'll just show you how I spec'd on my whip. The very first thing that you get to choose on the configurator is color. So I ended up going with Cyber Orange. And I also, for no reason at all, like the look of the Steelies. So I'm going with the fake Steely aluminum wheels. Next thing that I wanted, I actually ordered my Bronco a bit while ago. So not all these options were available when I did order them, but the one that was here were splash guards. So they've since added, mud flaps for kit or front or rear or anything like that. And I ended up just kind of taking these straight up ones. I figure we could protect the paint. If you're riding across a lot of dirt, mud flaps would be great. So that's what I went with. Hopefully not too bad. The other thing that I went with that's kind of weird for someone in California, but I went with the engine block heater. Some of the places I like to visit, which hopefully we'll get to do some of that on this channel, have a lot of snow. So I think engine block heater might come in handy. I looked at the prices for aftermarket engine block heaters, and honestly, it seemed reasonable. Having the factory install it, not having to worry about it later, I figured I could get it done now. For me, I passed up on the gray roof. I thought the black roof looked really good with the Cyber Orange, and we're moving on down. Here's the next thing that I wanted. I actually moved to the Badlands package, which is kind of this option here, and it changes up a lot that's involved with the car. Main reason I actually went with the Badlands package is the moonroof. So as I mentioned the Honda Element before, some of you may or may not know, but there's actually a e-camper or like a pitch up tent, similar to what you can put on those like flat top Wranglers that actually let you camp inside of your Honda Element and then kind of climb up and you're inside the tent. It requires a moonroof or you end up having to cut into your vehicle. So I am kind of playing the long game here, and I'm hoping that they're going to be able to make a e-camper style roof for the Ford Bronco Sport. Not sure, it might be just a shot in the dark, but that's kind of what I went with. I hope to have this car for a really long time, so that's kind of what got me to upgrade to the Badlands package. I'll scroll down because we can read a little bit more about the Badlands package since I just did that. That's the Badlands Equipment Group as opposed to the Badlands package. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Here's a Badlands package. So the details of Badlands package are power seating, great, auto dimming rear view mirror, awesome. Also something that you can mod on a car. B&O sound system, not sure how I feel about that, but I'll take it. Door handles, body color, dual zone, automatic temperature control, I think is great to have. Power moonroof is great. Reverse sensing system is also the other reason why I went with Badlands. Those two kind of features, the moonroof and the reverse sensing system, are kind of the two things that really swung me this way. Don't think I care that much about power seating or really any of the other features. HD radio, I don't think anyone cares about right now, especially with Android Auto and CarPlay. And then wireless charging pad, I really don't care either. So it really came down to this power moonroof and reverse sensing system. I feel like those two are the most practical things that I couldn't pass up. And that's kind of what sprung me over to the rest of the Badlands group. So the other options that I took. So I went with the cargo mat. I didn't have any of these options available as well. I also went with the cargo management system. Ford actually put out a pretty cool video which shows how this works. I'm excited to show y'all how this works when I get the car. And that's kind of it. The gimme and the thing that we might find out in a couple weeks is this steering wheel that's leather wrapped. This option wasn't available when I did order my truck. So we'll see what ends up happening when the baby Bronco arrives. The rest of the decisions here are kind of made for you. Like you can't downgrade here. Center console vault, I ended up not choosing. Engine is straightforward once you choose Badlands. So it's transmission and drive. And then the last couple things that I added on were tow package as well as Copilot 360 Assist. There's a lot of reading involved, but basically the one feature that I want here is adaptive cruise control. Don't really care too much about evasive steering or voice activated nav. I'll be using Google Maps or Waze or something like that. And it really came down to adaptive cruise control, which is just great for long trips, especially the ones that I envision myself doing. So that's kind of the full spec sheet here. We're going to end up seeing whether or not the leather wrap steering wheel makes it on my car. So, fingers crossed for me and the squad, but who knows? So here's kind of my order that I have with Serramonte Ford. I blocked out, some personal information, but other than that, this is pretty much it. So pretty excited to show all of y'all the exciting news that I'm joining the Ford Bronco family. Baby Bronco sometimes gets a little bit of hate, but I think it's actually gonna be one of the more popular ones. So I'm hoping that I'm maybe not the first, but I'm hoping I'm one of many who are kind of getting involved in the Bronco Sport community. Follow along for updates. Feel free to leave me a comment if you're interested in seeing, what's coming next. Think next video might be me taking delivery. So I'll be excited to see what happens. And then I'm also excited to just kind of share this project with y'all. I have a few ideas already planned for what I want to do when I get the Ford Bronco Sport, and I'll clue you into those as they come along. Probably won't give away too much just now, but that's the plan. Thanks for tuning in, and see you next time. Thanks.